Hello and welcome to Connected Love here on PRN-FM, where each week is an amazing exploration into the many facets of love, oneness, and our connection to the human spirit. I'm Lisa LaRose, and I'm joined by the amazing Michael J. Russ. I want to say welcome, Michael. I am so excited that you're back safe and sound, and it's going to be a wonderful conversation today. So welcome back.
Thank you. So happy to be back. So happy to be back. I had such a great time. It was an amazing 15 days. Seemed like it was. At one point, we just slowed it down to the point where we thought it was going to last for a month. You reach the end of one journey, and you start another one, and you start another one. So many great synchronicities that kept getting better and better. For anybody out there that travels around the world, we put 10 different flight connections together in 15 days, and it was. The synchronicities were beautiful. Whenever one fell apart, it was replaced by something that was actually much better than what we had planned on the year earlier. And it was taken care of for us. It was amazing. I'll just say this. I know we're going to get into our wonderful topic today, and I want to start it off with this, if you don't mind telling you this one quick little story about strangers, because we were in Johannesburg. And we had come back from our rail trip up to Zimbabwe and Zambia, and we had come back staying in the hotel, and we're supposed to leave the next morning. We were there all day in the hotel. We walked back in the door after being there a week earlier. Everybody says, "Hey, how you doing? Welcome back." Blah blah blah. The waiters, the bartenders, the guest relations, the general manager, blah blah blah. All saying, welcome back, glad to have you, and, upgraded our room. And then around 11 o'clock the next morning, we're supposed to leave at 5 o'clock in the evening to go to connect to Nairobi to Paris to Portugal, to Lisbon, Portugal. And got this little notification from the company we bought our tickets from, business class tickets, and they said, "Hey, there's a hitch in your giddy-up. There's a problem with your flight." So it was 11. We were just kind of hanging around in the room waiting. We had a late checkout, and I said, "Okay, that's it. Pack everything up. Let's go." Walked right across the street, which is where the hotel was right across the street from the airport. We walked right in. We walked all the way down to the Kenyan Airways ticket counter, and waited our turn. There was a couple people in front of us, and when we walked up to the gentleman, I said, "I'm Michael Russ. This is Sandra Bishop," and he looked on the computer and he says, "Don't worry, we put you on Swiss Air in business class. You'll go through Switzerland, Zurich, Switzerland to Lisbon." And I said, "Really?" He goes, "Oh, yes, you're taken care of." And I said, "You are amazing. I've never had this kind of service before." And he brings his fist up to his heart, and he gives it 2 taps, and he goes, "My pleasure." And I said, "Unbelievable." I said, "Weight off my shoulder, my friend. Thank you so much." I said, honestly, this service is stellar." And he does it again. He says, "My pleasure." And we walked away, and it was like the most incredible trip. It was one connection shy of what it should have been, which made it a whole lot easier. Still an 8.5. I think it was actually a 10.5-hour flight to get to Zurich, but it was awesome. And that exemplifies the kind of trip that we had, because if there was an issue with the timing, boom, somebody stepped in, and it was like we had angels guiding us the whole way, and all those connections happened on time and when they should have and with whom they should have, and it was fantastic. And we even had, if we had to change seats because she got thrown in one row and I got thrown in another, it was so easy. Talk about, the kindness of strangers. They walked onto the Swiss airline. He goes, she was sitting back in row 10. I was in row 5. There was a businessman sitting next to me, and he was on the phone, so I just waited patiently. And then I said, "Excuse me." He says, I didn't even get out anything beyond, "Excuse me." And he goes, "Where do you want me? Where do you want me?" I said, "Well, if you could switch with my girlfriend and, he said, "No problem. Just tell me where to go." And it was a little jumping around. It was so much fun. That's the way you want things to go. But, a lot of it is just that you have I believe that we have a good heart. We run across people who have good hearts. There's never any friction. It was always so much fun. And we just laughed away the connections and the long flights. You just laugh away. And that just exemplifies the kindness of, that was just two examples of kindness of strangers. There were more. There were many more, which is pretty phenomenal. Yeah, I'll tell you, remind me at the end of the show to tell you about the prize river cruise that they gave us that at the lodge, River Lodge, that was also extremely kind because it wasn't part of the package. But I'll save that for later, okay?
Wow, that's true spiritual serendipity. And there is a place where we make these unexpected connections, and kindness, I believe, is not random because it's part of that guiding force of love. So you exemplify, Michael, and everybody that you meet, I'm sure, feels it. You just embrace that trust and that openness, and that's what allows for that flow. It's beautiful. I love that story. Thank you for sharing that. It really is. It's so much in alignment. And before the show, I had said to Michael, there's a quote that when I was in high school, I wrote it in one of my scrapbooks, and it's stuck with me, and I've always really embodied it. I told that it was an Arabian proverb, and it just was very simple. Some people come into our lives and quickly go, and some people come and they leave footprints on our hearts, and we're never, ever the same. So before the show, I was looking for that quote to make sure that it truly was an Arabian proverb, and I found an expansion on that quote, which I even love even more. And it just said,
really?
I mean, it's by a woman named Flavia, and she expanded on it. She said, some people come into our lives and quickly go. Some people move our souls to dance. They awaken us to a new understanding with the passing of a whisper of their wisdom. Some people make the sky more beautiful to gaze upon. They stay in our lives for a while, leave footprints on our hearts, and we are never, ever the same. And I thought, wow.
Okay, that's amazing. Wow.
Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, that's
beautiful.
Gorgeous. That is something else. That's definitely a 100% improvement. I think that's just spectacular.
Oh,
dancing, move our souls to dance. Okay, I like that. That is, yeah. I'm down with that. I'm down with that. It's so beautiful. It's poignant, to say the least. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for that, for finding that wherever you did.
You know what? I was just, like I said, I wanted to verify it because it's been a long time since I was in high school, and I found that quote and wrote it in my scrapbook. But it stuck with me, and I love the fact that she said that people make the sky more beautiful to gaze upon, because sometimes it is that those individuals that extended that kindness to you as you walked away from them, everything I'm sure looked more magnificent because of it. It filled your heart with so much joy. And I'm sure it equally filled their heart with that same amount of joy. And I like the idea, what Footprints on Our Soul is a great reminder that love, like kindness, can occur in small, unexpected ways. It's often the little things that make the biggest difference. I think that they remind us of our connection to each other because they're an example of giving without any expectation of anything in return. And sometimes it can happen just as simply as offering a helping hand. The other day, when I was at the store, there was a woman who was struggling to put a 44-pound bag of dog food into her cart. She couldn't get it off the shelf, and I happened to be on the phone. I just said, hold on a minute, and I asked her if I could assist her, and picked it up and put it in her cart, and then just said to her, make sure you have somebody help you get this out. And it was just as easy as that. And I thought to myself, that could be me someday. And it just it took me not even a second. But to see her smile and the gift that she gave me back in knowing that I took and eased her burden just a little bit made a big difference for me. It made me feel good.
Yeah.
Wayne Dyer, who I know that I speak about a lot, he always would say that there are no strangers. There are no strangers in this world. It's only source. And he taught that we are all a connection of source energy, not just from a spiritual perspective, but from a connection to love. And I truly believe that there are no true strangers. There are just parts of these individuals that reflect back that wisdom that Flavia was talking about in her quote. They reflect back to us. And the kindness you receive is responding to that alignment of how and what we put out into the universe. So I really appreciate your story, because what a great introduction for that quote. So thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I really believe in the power of perception, and the perception that we left on this trip. We knew it was going to be, that it could be challenging at times. However, our perspective and our perception of the whole thing was that it would go smoothly, and then if it didn't go smoothly, it would be, if there were some challenges, some bumps in the road along the way, that they would be smoothed out without any aggravation in any given way, shape, or form. No negativity. That we would face them with love and kindness all the way. And it's interesting, because I know people who travel, and they have their expectation and their perception of travel is that it's stressful from the very beginning. Oh, it's so stressful, it's so terrible, I hate it. Right? I'm going, okay, that's not the way to engage with going and meeting and engaging with new people. Because when you have that mindset, it negates the small acts of kindness, like you were talking about. I mean, I can't tell you how many pieces of luggage I lifted, carry-on luggage that I lifted and put in the overhead bin for older women and younger women, just women who were there, standing next to me, and I'm like, I know that thing is heavy. Mine's heavy, right? So I just said, please excuse me, let me just put this up here for you. And I did it, dozens of times. And I did it with love and kindness, because it's what we do. It's what we're supposed to do. It's like when you approach it from that. So then you get this domino effect of the loving kindness that you feel for yourself and you feel for those around you, and the perception that everything will go smoothly no matter what, and any hiccups or bumps will be smoothed out through serendipity, through, again, love and kindness as well. And the people who approached traveling from it's all about me, right? It's all about me perspective. Just because you own a business class ticket doesn't mean it's all actually only about you. The flight crews, they work for you. They have to work all night for you. And it's fun to engage with them, and good things to give them some love as well, because they are in the service business. And that's all you do on a trip, is come across people who are there to serve you. That's it. And you should come with the love and the kindness in your heart and in your soul that you really exemplify. I always remember that even though I'm a Black American, I wondered what it was going to be like to be in Africa for the first time. I've never traveled down in South Africa before, and Zimbabwe and Zambia. But everybody on the train was stellar. The crew, I conversed with them many times to ask them how they liked it, how they were treated. Did they enjoy themselves? Were they happy? Were they having fun? And every time it was, oh yes, they love it. The young people are on the road on this train. At any given time, this particular Robos Rail has 6 different trains running all over South Africa, and Zambia, and Namibia, and Tanzania, and Zimbabwe, and it's crazy. Kenya. It's a heck of a feat, but the people involved are so loving. They're so caring, and it's not fake. It comes direct. It's who they are. It's who
right.
they are. And I found that I was expecting that. However, the expectation was blown out of the water with the reality. The reality of it. I had a smile on my face all the time. Every time I come by people, I like to say hello to people and touch them on the shoulder, and they all bent over backwards to make sure that everyone was taken care of, and it was spectacular. It was really, really a spectacular experience, let's say. And if you really want to know what it's like to sleep all night on a narrow gauge railway, I think the closest example I can give is trying to sleep on an old wooden roller coaster. That's what it's like. You're thinking,
wow.
Except for the fact, I'll tell you a funny story. I got up. I was in bed, tossing and turning around, because it's narrow gauge. In America, it's a wider gauge, but narrow gauge, the cars happen to rock a little bit more and all that. Then you got to deal with the track, the way the track is put down, and whether it's cared for or taken care of by the country. So we're in in Zimbabwe, and we were on this train running down the track, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're rolling, rocking back and forth. It seemed like we were going 100 miles an hour. 19 train cars, 2 locomotives. It felt like we were going 100 miles an hour and that we were going to bounce off the tracks any moment. And I woke up. Oh, yeah, I woke up. I'm thinking to myself, oh, my God, where's this train going to end up, right? And I went over, I got out of bed and lifted the shade up over the window. Down, I pulled it down, actually, and I looked outside. We must have been going 30 miles an hour. I swear, if you had a horse, you could be riding right next to the train. We were going so slow.
Oh my goodness!
Oh my God!
Funny.
This track, but the track, my mind made this really wild assertion that we were going to be bounced off the rail any moment now. And I went back to sleep and I said, "Oh my gosh, that was really wild." Thinking that was going to happen because the train was bouncing and the train can stop anytime and start anytime, and it's like, wow, it was some 5-day experience. But the people, it was really the people were the ones that made it so spectacular. And 2 game drives with game drivers that were stellar people, just so knowledgeable. I learned about bush people. Bush people, you would love bush people because the Bushmen are the original inhabitants of Southern Africa. Bushmen. And this is like 100 to 150,000 years ago. Bushmen. And they know they were there because they left rock paintings everywhere, rock art. They painted themselves, they painted animals, they painted what they were doing, they painted themselves dancing, they painted everything, right, on rocks in this national park that they have. And they discovered 3,000 of these rock things. So the reason I'm telling you this is because this happens to be really viable when it comes to, connect to love. Bushmen have a love for the land to the point where their number one goal is to do no harm to anything or anyone. And wherever they camped, they only used what was necessary, and when they left, you never knew they were there. They didn't disturb anything that didn't need to be disturbed. And if they killed an animal, they used absolutely every ounce of that animal to the point where there was nothing left. They didn't leave bones. They didn't leave anything. You did not know they were there. The ultimate caretakers for the earth. And that story just warmed my heart when it was told about how they did that and how they moved and how they were never in one place long enough to set up shop. That wasn't the purpose. Their purpose was to keep moving, and generations, thousands and thousands of years, they kept moving, and it's a phenomenal story of the Bushmen, and one that we could all. I mean, they were the original conservators of the planet, conservators of everything. They didn't harm a bug. They didn't harm a flea. They didn't harm an ant. They didn't harm anything. They left everything to nature the way it should have been, and they left no footprint. Think about that for a second. Mm-hmm. Could we do that? Right? Pretty amazing. And so that's so many wonderful stories, so many wonderful people that told those stories, all of them strangers, but all of them friends when we left. It was stellar, absolutely stellar.
Wow.
to have that interaction.
They moved your soul to dance. No, I was going to say they moved your soul to dance. I understand that because my experience of Africa when I volunteered in the hospital was the same. The individuals that were there for care, they had the most beautiful hearts. I worked a lot with the children there and the physiotherapists, and the people, the families would come and they would cook for them, and it was the most beautiful experience, I think, in my life, one of just connecting with the souls that were there. And I think that they were I still hold them near and dear in my heart. They were the people who've left footprints on my heart, and I still keep in touch with. The one young man who now he's all grown up and has a family of his own, and he went back to Kenya, but we still keep in touch, and I feel as close to him now as I did then. And I love you sharing about the train, because I think when you talked about expectations and how we sometimes control things and we expect things to come in a specific way. When you're on a train like that, you're, as you said, you're moving, and it's kind of a really great metaphor for life. It reminds me of the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I don't know if you remember that movie, but in the movie, Ferris had a wonderful saying. He said, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. And it's really a great reminder about seizing the day, really taking an active stance and being an active participant in your own life. And so sometimes it can be that perception that things are moving so quickly, but all it does is it takes a moment to open up the window and look outside, and what do you see? You're realizing that things aren't really the way that you think that they are. And I think sometimes that can be that same way, that sometimes we're in the hustle and bustle, and then love shows up with a stranger holding a door for you. And how do we receive that? We should receive it as a gift, free of suspicion, and just know that that kindness is there for us, and that as we emanate the love, that source love from our heart, and we align with our joy, that we become a magnet for all of those types of encounters, such as you did, and that more people that we meet are going to make our soul dance. I really appreciate that story, Michael, because I think about being on a train like that, and actually I loved your analogy of it being like sleeping on a roller coaster, because we have one here in Pittsburgh, and it's called the Jackrabbit, and it's an old rickety roller coaster. So when you go over the second hump, it doesn't matter how much you try to stay down, it's going to pop you out of your seat like a jackrabbit.
Bounced all over the place. We laughed. We laughed.
Yeah.
We laughed. We giggled. It was such an amazing thing. Now I will tell you the positive side. It's wonderful to catch a nap under those conditions in the middle of the afternoon or late morning. It's just so beautiful to be rocked into lulled into an hour and a half long nap. And just as the countryside is just going by, and the kindness of strangers. It's interesting. I came back. You mentioned that your friends that you're still connected with. We came back with people who are going to be here next April. One of the couples on the train is going to stop by, stay a couple days with us from England, because they were going to play. They're coming here in the United States for about 6 weeks or 7 weeks anyway, and they're already making a detour to come up and see us. And we had another couple from England, the UK, that's going to come back over this way. And I have probably 5 new WhatsApp friends from who are these young African men who have who speak better English than most people that I know, and they are warm, they're loving, they are friendly, they want the best for you, and you want the best for them. It's spectacular, and I love
from the heart. I can actually feel it as you're speaking about it. That's awesome.
Yeah. You just run into these people, and you go, "Hey, let's exchange WhatsApps," and I say, "I'll support you," and they say, "Yeah, I love you. I love your podcast," and it's fantastic. Let's connect, and let's make sure that we stay friends. I know I'll get back here at some particular point, but if you have any questions, or you got something going on, or you have a challenge and you want somebody outside of your circle, which is the wonderful thing about new friends. You want to offer them the opportunity to connect with you. And in my view, we connect with people because we help each other evolve. And that's really what my feeling is. We're constantly moving, constantly transforming, constantly evolving. And connections with people are an integral part of all of that happening, that process. unfolding on a daily basis. It's interesting because the statistic here in the United States that 33% of young people, a couple of early generations, I believe, feel that I probably just butchered that whole study, but it was just a survey that 30% of young people felt that they were alone. And I'm like, why? What in our system is failing that would, in a way that would make anyone feel as if they were alone? Our society doesn't value connection the way that it used to, the way that it did 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago. It's like it's the idea of connecting with people. Number one, in schools, you're not taught to connect with other people. You're not taught grace. You're not taught respect. You're not taught kindness, and you're not taught about love, about how to love and care for another, how to help someone. It's you come in and it's a corral of let's learn this thing. I've got to do my best to get this lesson taught today, and everything else has to go by the wayside. It's all I can do. And teachers, in my opinion, are rock stars. And there are some teachers who listen to this podcast, and I do want to tell them that they're rock stars because they're working in an environment where it's not only the connection with the connections that occur in school. And when you and I went to school, we didn't have so many distractions, and connection was really integral for our success, to us becoming who we are today. It was the connections. When I was overseas going to school, it was the connections. We all had to depend upon each other. We all had to take care of each other. We all had to be responsible for each other. We had to watch out for each other. It wasn't, all for one and you for you, right? That it was one for all and all for one. That's what it was. We were all part of the same. We're all in the same ship together. We're going to get to the shore together, and we're going to move beyond that together. And so there was no room for prejudices or biases or petty grievances. There was no room for that, because all of that was antithetical to the mission of connection. We had to survive and thrive together. And so all of that disconnection and discord, that stayed away. That was pushed out. People were forced to transform themselves, and I've seen it in weeks. People in weeks that had biases and, no, I don't like this and I didn't like that. They came from a big school back in America with 3,500 students, where they had their little clique and they didn't really care about other people, but their clique. All of a sudden, they had to depend upon other people that they had never depended upon before to actually move forward and to survive and thrive in that environment. And so they very quickly got it. And when they did, they dropped that veil of bias, that veil of prejudice, that veil of discord that they had bought into in their previous educational environment. And then everybody came together, and it was so wonderful. And you ask anyone whose father was in the military or in civil service or whatever, who spent time in an international school, and you will invariably discover quickly that was the best time in their life, because of the connection that they immediately developed with perfect strangers who had just gotten off the plane. It was in team sports. It was in the classroom. It was in projects. It was surviving and thriving in the atmosphere of the city. It was everything, and everybody took care of each other, and that's what made it the best time in people's lives. Because that didn't exist when they came back to the United States, and they'll tell you that. So, connection, super important. Yeah. Depending on the kindness of strangers, even more important. And it's even more important, in my view, that we be the stranger that puts forth the kindness to someone we don't know. That's what I want to be. That's what I seek to be all the time, is the stranger who lets you know that you're loved, that you're cared for, that connection is there for you, even if it's only a brief moment.
Mm-hmm.
That connection
Absolutely.
is there. Yeah.
And you never know when. It always comes up when you least expect it, and it's a great reminder, Michael, that connection and love are really the ultimate reality. And that is how we create those ripples of change. No matter how brief the encounter is, whenever there is a kindness, it's like a stone dropped into that collective pond. It ripples out well beyond what we see, and we never know through whatever random acts of kindness that unfold for us or that we're capable of extending to somebody else. My sister had a house fire and literally lost half of their house, and so my nieces have been displaced. None of their belongings, none of the things that brought them comfort. And, my youngest niece lost everything in her bedroom. The other ones had the good fortune of having more of their possessions available to them, although there's so much smoke damage. But I will tell you, within hours of them being displaced from their home, and everybody, thank God, was okay. That was the most important thing. Everybody was safe. But
right.
Within hours, somebody had started a GoFundMe, and somebody else donated a storage unit that they could put the donations in. The Red Cross was there. They gave them blankets. They provided them with the means to go get some essentials that they needed. And there has been such a beautiful outpouring. It literally, I was speaking with my niece just hours after it happened, and I was brought to tears. Complete strangers who were reaching out to my family, and I know that they do the same for other people in similar situations. But
mm-hmm.
I was so grateful and so moved by the love of the community and the caring for really complete strangers. They were individuals that did not know my sister or her partner or the children, and expressed concern and kindness and caring. And as difficult as it was for my nieces, I think that it was the kindness of strangers that have really helped them get through this difficult time. And I reminded my sister that everything, it's just stuff. And it gives us a new perspective on what's important. When we have these strangers that come into our lives and really touch our souls, we are forever impacted. I mean, I know how I'm secondhand because I'm not impacted the same way that she is. It really has transformed, I think, not only her life, but her kids' lives as well, just knowing that the community is there to care and support them. I'm just very, very grateful. Because we never know when any of us will be in that same situation.
Heck no. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So true. You don't know when you're going to be there. But yes, I'm moved by that because I know how when we had spoken how stressful it is just to think about that sort of thing happening. And it's beautiful to see the community come together. That was wonderful. Yeah. That's the world we live in when we give the world the opportunity to reveal itself. That's the world we really live in, right?
And I think it's an energetic footprint. Those acts of love will outlive the people probably that extended it. It's an invisible legacy that my nieces, if they have children, will pass on to their children that experience that they had. And that love it goes on and on and on, and it never disappears. Just like the stranger that you met that recognized you and said, "Michael, you do a podcast. You're Michael from the podcast." I don't know that you will ever forget that moment. That's pretty amazing.
Heck no. That's not going to happen. No, it's not. It's you. If you think about how wonderful, how serendipitous it really is because of the odds, based on where I was and what I was doing at the time, where I was in the world. I mean, it's just the number of people that listen. They're not in the millions, so it's not like somebody on every street corner. However, the universe saw fit to put this particular gentleman together with me at that time in that space to bring us together as I was passing through. And I'm forever grateful for that. He's a wonderful young man. And in my podcast today, I gave him a shout out, and I sent him a WhatsApp telling him, listen to the podcast. I gave you a WhatsApp, a little shout out because, and I really wanted to tell him.
Give him a shout out here too.
Yeah, absolutely. I told him too about both. I gave him the both. I told everybody about it too. But yeah, Dalisto, he's an awesome young man, and one who has he's going places. He's doing great things for himself and continuing to evolve and transform, and he's reaching out. And the sign of somebody who is going places is somebody who is not afraid to step into the unknown. We've talked about that before. When you come across somebody who's not sticking just with what they know, but they're striving to expand beyond that. Everybody, that was the one thing, I will tell you, that's the one thing everybody had in common. Every one of the young people I met on the train or at the lodge, River Lodge, or wherever it was, in the hotel, they all had this striving to be better, to be more, to step outside of their comfort zone. And it was refreshing. It was so refreshing to see that all of them had that energy and that understanding that in order to evolve, you have to expand beyond who you are and where you are. It's wonderful. Absolutely stellar.
That was your point of attraction too, though, Michael. And I think that it reiterates that when you connect with a stranger, you never know when they're going to move your soul. It's that when you saw that young man, it's that moment of oneness recognized. And you impacted him, but also he impacted you. It's sort of a mutual validation of the divine spark within us. I see you. It's basically, I see you. I see your beautiful heart. I feel it. I am so grateful that, because he could have let you watch by and pointed you out to somebody and said, hey, that's Michael from Pockets, never making the time to stop and connect with you.
So
but the fact that he did, what a beautiful moment.
Hey, they're pretty bold. Stood right in front of me before I checked in. Yeah, I know you. You're that guy from the podcast. That's going to stick with me forever. I would say that. It's so strange. It's serendipity on steroids is what that is.
Yeah, no, truly. I mean, it's a reminder of the extraordinary power each one of us has within us. I post about it a lot, and I think people sometimes they take for granted that it's just words, but it isn't. There is this amazing magnetic frequency we emanate within us, and when we align with things. I had a guest that was staying at my Airbnb for a week. They had a new baby born in their family, and when they checked in, they messaged me and said, we can't get the television to work. And I was at dinner, and I said, not a problem. I said, I can be there in about 10 minutes. And when I got there, they were a lovely couple, and we started chatting. But I felt this tug at my heart when I was with his wife. I just speaking to her. And as we segued into a topic about health and the fact that I had a holistic practice for a long time, and she was in the midst of some health challenges and some need of some help. So I said, you know what, if you have time, I'll sit down with you. And I had an opportunity to sit down and present some different viewpoints so that she could open up some new avenues. And I sat down for 2 hours with them, and then another 2 hours later on. But they were just such a lovely couple. And he asked me, how much do I owe you? I said, nothing. I'm happy to do this for you. I really feel that on a soul level. I said, it wasn't about the television. I said, the divine wanted us to meet. I said, I don't really work with people one-on-one anymore unless I'm guided to do so. And I really felt that need to meet with her. And I know that she will be fine. It's just finding the right information. And
so beautiful. So beautiful. Yeah. You have this wonderful sense about you of being able to read people and to sense their energy, because that's what you do. And
thank you.
For me, I'm not going to say I'm as good as you. However, what I know I'm joyful at doing is just reading people, just reading their aura energy, what they're putting out. I can see facial expressions and body language, and I can tell when someone's stressed. And it's wonderful when you do sense that, to be able to help give them some relief, help them understand that there is someone else out there who does understand what they're dealing with, and that perhaps you can give them another way to deal with the situation or make things a little bit lighter for them. And that's how people learn. It's that's how, if people haven't had that in their lives and they're now into their adulthood, then you could really shift someone's life in a heartbeat by displaying that kind of kindness and love and connection and caring. I think it's wonderful.
Right. Well,
kudos to you, my dear.
Oh, thank you, and likewise to you, Michael. And it's interesting how there is a boomerang effect to kindness, because I'm still fiddling with my car, and the shop, the dealership said it was going to be over $2,000 to fix it, and I said I'd like a second opinion, and I ended up having the car towed somewhere else, and the gentleman fixed my car for $184. So that was a big gift, and I recognized it as it was a gift from the universe, as somebody was being extremely kind to me. And I said, "Are you sure that's all I owe you?" And he said, "Oh, absolutely not. That's all." Yeah. And I was so grateful. But it can happen that way. We just, I think when you're in an open space, there is a serendipity of that reciprocal kindness, and we just have to allow the universe. I think that it does. The universe puts the right person, the right whisper, the right opportunity in our path all the time, and it's that perfect moment that we have those opportunities, and those encounters can leave us forever changed. And I think that's why I really have always loved that quote, and I even like the new one even better, especially.
Fantastic. New and stellar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you too, Michael. I mean, you have given me your wonderful photographs of sunsets and sunrises and the skies you send me just randomly. I mean, those are a kindness in my day. Sometimes if I'm having a challenge, just looking at that will take me into a different space. So I'm always very grateful of that. And it doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It can be something as simple as sharing a photograph or sharing something funny with somebody. It can really, truly make all the difference.
No, I agree 110%. I mean, that's the thing about it. It doesn't have to be a big grand gesture ever. In fact, it's not really the size of the gesture. It's your understanding that making the gesture will make a difference in someone's life. That's really what it is. It could be just sort of something very, very simple. Like I said, putting up a piece of luggage for somebody, letting them know that someone is still there to do that, take it back down again for them, and make sure, and then just thank you very much and walk away. You don't need to know. It's not about, a formal introduction or, hey, let's have some lunch. I mean, it might be, but bottom line is when you developing a sense of the people around you. We live in a world, and it's interesting because, New York City has millions of people living in Manhattan. I mean, just millions of people, right? And one of the things, when I go up there, the thing that I get a sense of more than anything else is that there's such a lack of space and privacy that people don't say hi to each other on the street.
Right.
They don't do it. Because they're like, oh God, I don't want to get into a conversation with somebody or whatever. I'm out walking my dog and it's my private time, or I'm going from here to there and I have some things to think about and I don't want to engage with somebody, right? Because there's such a lack of space. There's so many people crammed into such a small area, and I guess which is why Central Park, and it's the same thing in Central Park. People out there running, they're walking, they're doing whatever, and they're off on their own. Right? And except when you're queued up somewhere. When you're queued up at a restaurant, generally the people queued up at a restaurant aren't living in that city. So there's a propensity to converse more. you can get to know people. You get to at least converse to find out, where they're from, how are they doing, what's going on. And invariably they'll ask if you've been here before, whatever, what's good in the menu. And you can get into some sort of chit-chat conversation back and forth and find out how they're doing. And you don't actually have to ask them how they're doing. You can sense it based on the answers to their questions and the way that they're conversing with you. And it's a lost art. Connecting with people is becoming a lost art, and it's really a shame. And I still haven't figured out a way to turn it back around yet. However, here on the show, maybe we can put some strides in that direction, because a lot of young people are in need of being able to connect with people. You're going to be alone if you fail to, how can I say, cultivate and curate the skill of connecting with another person.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
You're going to feel very alone, in fact. And that shouldn't be the case, because there's enough people who are alone for people to connect. And I usually say, more than anything else, that, if you're alone, then you need to figure out what it is that you like and what lights your fire, what puts a smile on your face, and then go do that. You're going to meet more people who are just like you, who like the same thing you do, and you'll develop friendships with them and connections, and you have something in common, and you build from there. That's it.
Right.
But if you never step out of your house, guess what? It's going to make a little bit of a challenge. You got to step out of your house, out of your environment, into the unknown.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, each one of us has that opportunity to become a sky beautifier. And that when we step out of our house, if we just think, what if every person I meet today is a chance to experience love in a new form, no matter what form that it shows up in? Even the gentleman who was giving me the $2,000 quote, I had to kind of, I when I got on the phone with him, I asked, how are you doing today? And there was complete silence. And then I said, do you not have anybody ask you how you're doing today? And he said, no. I've never had anybody ask me how I'm doing today. And I said, well, I am sincere. How is your day going? It took him a moment to kind of navigate through that. But I was sincere. I asked that as you do. I care.
Sure.
When I ask that question, it's not just conversation. I wait for the answer, which is why I didn't say anything, which is why there was dead silence on the phone. And little things like that, you catch yourself and you think, wow, what a shame. And hopefully his life is a little bit richer, and perhaps maybe I wasn't the only person. Maybe there was somebody else who asked him that question and really cared about the answer. And I really think about that. What if every person we meet is a chance to experience love in a new form? Because when it's a little shocking when somebody says to you a very high number and fix your car. But it did. It was in the conversation after I asked him how he was. I found out that he hasn't been at that job very long. He's new to the city. I asked him if he's meeting different people and what he thought about the city. It wasn't just about his job, and I think it was a needed conversation. There was no accident that he was assigned to me as the service agent.
Yeah, you can't tell. It's when you're in the service business. It's the reason why I bend over backwards to be kind and be friendly and understand empathetically and compassionately what these people go through. When you're serving others, you're more inclined, unfortunately nowadays, to encounter people who see you as simply a means to an end instead of a human being, and that's a shame. However, it's the reason, like I said, why I bend over backwards to make sure that they understand that they are cared for and that they are loved just like anyone else. That I'm not there to stress upon them that they're there to serve me. In fact, I told somebody the other day I told him that in the service business, I said, you're there to do a job for people, and do the job to the best of your ability, which is whatever your customer service is. However, at no point in time should you adopt the understanding that you are beneath them in some way. Never do that. I said, they're just a human being. They're a human being just like you. And that it's that servicing them and taking care of them is your job. It's what you've chosen to do. Do it to the best of your ability. Be stellar at it. But don't, you're not there to grovel. You're not there to put yourself beneath them or put them on a high pedestal above you. That's when things get to be problematic. There's too many people out there who feel as though they can walk all over people. And it's amazing to me that is the case, but that's the world we kind of live in. That's the kind of thing that's pushed upon society, that, to have people work for you and do things for you and take care of you, and you're better than they. And when you adopt the whole idea that you're better than someone, you've kind of lost already, because eventually that's going to catch up to you. That perception is not one that is going to play out over the long haul. You will get the shock of your life one day that is not the case. And for people who, like myself, get to be in business and choose who I work with, I have a very diplomatic way of letting people know that I prefer not to work with them. Yeah, okay. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter, that if you're rude, if that's your perception, that I'm here to be at your beck and call anytime, day or night, and whatever. That is not what it's about. There are boundaries, and I will respect you to the ends of the earth. Just understand that I'm not here to be trampled on. We are human beings. We are equals. And that's kind of what I put forth to some of the people in South Africa. I said, you're awesome. The love that you share, the love that you give. I didn't tell you about the cooking exhibition, the cooking class we had. I may save that for another day. But we had a cooking class. Actually, I'll just tell you now. I'll be very quickly. You mind?
No, please. I'd love to hear it.
Okay, so we had at the River Lodge. We had gotten to know the bartenders, and we got to know the manager. Spoke with the general manager. We befriended absolutely everybody in the place, and it's off season. And so we were, on the last night that we were there, we were the last two people in the River Lodge. That was it. It was just us, the two of us. And they knew this was going to happen, so they said, well, you guys want to do a cooking class? You want to learn how to cook Zambian food? And we said, yeah, sure. Let's see how you guys go about it. So we got together with the driver, Paul, took us to the market. And Sandy, my girlfriend, picked out okra, pumpkin leaves, hibiscus leaves, and 3 other kinds of leaves. And I'm going, there's a lot of leaves here. And I quickly understood, okay, that the Zambian people don't eat a lot of meat because meat's expensive. What the Zambian people eat a lot of is maize, corn, and they have these amazing ways of cooking leaves. And so we bought these things. He paid for them. We came back, and about 5:30 in the afternoon, we went into the kitchen with 2 chefs, and we literally prepared a Zambian meal. And so it was 4 different kinds of leaves, maize that was like maize is the corn. It reminded me. It smelled very much like grits, not hominy, or polenta. Okay, kind of like that kind of thing, where you get it to a consistency where you can actually pick it up and shape it in your hand and then pick up food with it, because they don't use utensils. They just literally form this maize into sort of like a flat thing in your fingers, and you pick up the food that's on your plate. In many cases, they don't have plates. They just literally go in to get it from the bowl that is there. And it was so interesting the way that it was cooked, the love that was put into it. And then because when we got done cooking it, we took some pictures and everything else to send you one. And we went out to the dinner table, and we literally in the dining room. And since there was no one else at the resort to care for, or to take care of, or to service, the staff came and sat down and ate with us.
Yay! How wonderful. Fun!
Yeah, it was fantastic, right? So it gave me a full understanding of daily life for a Zambian family, and they're very happy, very wonderful. We learned how to cook with these leaves that I would have never thought of in my entire life to cook from, but they were fantastic. Tasted really, really amazing. Really amazing with the added tomatoes and onions and seasonings, salt and pepper, that kind of thing.
You know what? It's another great metaphor, Michael, because sometimes there's people that we would never think in a million years that would fit into our recipe of life, right? And
True.
They do. They come in, and these strangers come in, and they change who we are, just like you. I mean, what a great thing. The people that were strangers when you got there that welcomed you into the kitchen, and you had this beautiful exchange, and it was giving, receiving. I'm sure you had lots of conversations. They learned a lot about American cooking and the things that you do and your traditions. It's a beautiful reminder that love is everywhere, constantly flowing to us. We just have to be receptive to whatever is going to come through our path. Like Sandy going into the market, you're selecting things that wouldn't normally have been in your palate, that you've expanded it, and here again, you're forever changed. Those footprints on your heart. Your soul's dancing to the cuisine of Namibian cooking, right? Or Zambian cooking.
Absolutely.
That's
It
wonderful.
is. I got to tell you, that's just the stories abound. They're phenomenal. We'll talk about some more of them maybe next week, but I want to thank you for this wonderful, wonderful exchange we've had today. It's just so wonderful. The connection, the talk about connection, the love, the kindness of strangers. I hope our audience is really taking this to heart and is going to really embrace what we're talked about today.
Absolutely. We are all truly connected, and love is always available to you. Sometimes you're the people you least expect. So wherever you are, may you carry with you the quiet truth that every act of kindness, every soft word, every open heart, every moment of choosing love leaves an imprint far deeper than we realize. So as you step into your day, may you listen for the invitations of the heart, the gentle nudges, that a quiet chance to lift another being, because the love you offer today could become somebody's steadying force tomorrow. The kindness you choose becomes the part of the world that we're all building together. Thank you for joining us in this space of connection, and may the footprints you leave behind be full of love. Until next time, keep choosing kindness and keep letting love lead the way.
Exactly.
So grateful.
Exactly. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Take care. Abundant blessings to you all. And, of course, peace out.
Peace out. I wanted to make mention of the fact that from December 8th through the 12th, there is a summit called the Unstoppable You Summit, where 25 speakers are dedicating their time, each giving a half-hour presentation of something that can help take your life to the next level. And I'm one of the speakers. I'm proud to say my talk will be on the 12th of December at about 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And I hope that you can register for free and join us for any one of the conversations, any one of the messages that is being put out by these wonderful speakers. It's close to my heart, because anytime you can commit to helping someone elevate their life and become, in this case, more unstoppable than they are today, right now, in the next year, and the next in the rest of their life, I think it's absolutely phenomenal. So I just wanted to impart that, and I'll make sure I give you a link to put in the description of the podcast. And it's pretty amazing. But you can go to michaeljruss.com, and and check out the register for the event. I wish you do. I hope you do. Please take care.
Thank you. So excited to check it out. Can't wait to hear you talk and the other speakers. Sounds amazing.
It will be amazing. It will be pretty stellar. So thank you for that.